Tryna be a better me just for you. But it ain't easy, it's hard to get used to. Minding my own business, I'm not worried about what he do. Cause nowadays all it is to be see-through. I always said this is that I'm staying around people. Finding my own path like I'm writing my own sequel. Two-faced people all around, they be evil. 2021, you can never trust nobody. Good and bad thoughts on my mind, they be crowded. Pushing to get past his limits, then he see he bought it. Family work hard, but I never catch them found it. Came a long way in my drip, now I be drowning. They dying, I hear got some hearts pounded. Multi-talented, my passion, I haven't found it. Yeah, in my home, I was never ever doubted. I'm here from a bad place, oh yeah. Tryna be a better me just for you. But it ain't easy, it's hard to get used to. Minding my own business, I'm not worried about what he do. Cause nowadays all it needs to be see-through. I always said this is that I'm staying around.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, for wherever you are. Welcome back to your boy GFC Garvin YouTube channel, Top 8 Show today. Today we got all the top 8, the top 8 in the Premier League that we want to talk about. And also some of the results from the Champions League, this past week. So hope you guys enjoy. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to your boy GFC Garvin YouTube channel. And also Chelsea Session, my dear friend Ty, one of the panelists. So welcome, guys. How you guys doing today?
Still disappointed about the Chelsea match, but it is what it is.
What about you, Ken?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, Ken is gonna host the show today. So while we're waiting for everyone to tune in, today the result wasn't that bad, to be quite honest. Right across the league, disappointed for my Chelsea. Arsenal will get a close call. Manchester City do got a close call. Newcastle, same thing. So the top 8 this weekend, it wasn't as fluid, as we thought it would be, to be quite honest, for a lot of the teams, because most of the games was really close. To be quite honest, the result could have swing in any direction. You know, some will be disappointed, but the one and only Liverpool still finding ways out to win. Liverpool be reigning at this time right now. Seems like they're the out and out favorite. Only lost one game so far this season and won everything else. So there's a lot we can talk about today, and there's a lot to discuss about from all the games. Not only just the Liverpool, but the Manchester City game. As I said, it was a close call, and even Arsenal, because both was trailing, early out in the game. So as you guys roll in right now, we already got 4 people watching at this moment. The numbers keep on going up. I just want to say thank you to each and every one that's tuning in. I'm gonna give it over to let me say Ty, because I don't know if you have anything that you want to say, and then we'll go to Ken.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what you said about it wasn't straightforward for the top 8. As you said, teams like Arsenal and Man City had close calls because for the City game, they won against Fulham just by 1 goal. It was 3-2. That game in particular was very close. And then Arsenal, obviously they didn't have it easy. They obviously found a way to get the win, but the match wasn't straightforward. So it really shows that, like what we discussed last week, that football and the Premier League has evolved, and you can't simply call how the matches will go, because both teams will be fighting hard, and the teams that are viewed as the underdogs, they're going to always come and try to get the other team to really have to work for it, and they can probably aim to get an upset for the other team.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What about you, Ken?
Yeah. Some great games played this match week. Want to discuss about them. Talk about a few matches in the Champions League. All right, so let's start, I guess. All right, so the first match we have was Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. I'm gonna ask Ty what he thinks about that match.
Well, this match, because I I realized that it was a very close game in terms of scoreline. Jota would have scored the only goal for Liverpool in the ninth minute rather. So and well, I've become more inclined to look at numbers as well to see what happened. But it reminds me of the match that Crystal Palace would have had prior, where it's a case where they're not taking chances because they created opportunities. Liverpool created more, they had more possession, but it all comes down to the fact that Crystal Palace, they weren't able to take their chances, or as some people would say, finish their dinner. They had the opportunity, they didn't take it. Liverpool, won by the smallest of margins, but they were the favorites, so it's not really upsetting. But Crystal Palace, in terms of their start, it hasn't been the greatest. They're yet to win a match. They've gotten 3 draws and they've lost 4 games, so that's not the brightest start for them. They're currently sitting 18th. So yeah, this match in particular, it shows that Liverpool, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's a case where Crystal Palace defended so well. I did hear that the goal that they ended up scoring was an error from Crystal Palace as well. So perhaps it's a case where they pounced on the only clear cut opportunity that they would have gotten, and perhaps they weren't able to follow that up with goals to have comfort. So you know. I can't imagine scoring a goal in the 9th minute, and then for the remainder of the game you have to be trying to protect it and trying to add to it, and you cannot do it. So they got lucky in terms of the fact that Palace weren't able to pounce on the opportunities that they created. But Liverpool will also think about the situation to say that they need to try to be more clinical. Liverpool are known for scoring goals in the past, but beginning of the season it hasn't seen them scoring goals consistently. They've scored and they've won by large margins in the past in previous matches, but it's not as consistent. It's not scoring goals as early as they would in other games, or scoring goals in general. So yeah, it's a win for Liverpool. They still managed to sit top of the table, just 1 point ahead of Man City and Arsenal respectively, and 4 points ahead of Chelsea. So right now, going into the international break, they're sitting comfortably, somewhat, on top of the table.
All right. Yeah. Garvin, do you have anything to say about the match?
Yeah, for me, Liverpool, I would say Liverpool defensively, they look really solid. My take would be, on Liverpool's their defensive structure right now is taking them, you know, to what they are now because of the unbreakable in the defensive area. I think they got 4 clean sheets or 5 clean sheets so far in the season. The most clean sheet in the season. They finding ways to win. A lot of people being writing off Liverpool, and everyone is having their bet on Arsenal and Man City. But I think for me, Liverpool is going about their business silently, and wish that is good because silent it can be many different things, and I think that the media are not really putting the pressure on Liverpool right now, and that only can bring goodness for them because the less pressure on them is the more they can do what they do best on the pitch. So I think that a lot of people are sleeping on them, and I think that they can be the wild card this season. But their performance is very good because they got that one chance, they take it, but they know that their defense is hard to breach. So if you can win ugly, why not? The win don't have to be pretty at all times. It can be a ugly win. Long as you get the 3 points, that's all matters, especially early out in the season. So well done to them. And I think their coach, a lot of people underestimate him because he's new to the league. I'm one of them too because I used to say that because he's new to the league that he probably gonna be struggling, but I kind of did 50-50 with it because I know that their squad is a very experienced squad. The only thing they need a manager just to come in and they will still have this run like what they're on now. The only thing change is just the manager, but the players are still there. So I think that Liverpool, under this manager right now, they can go on and do wonders this season. Would they win the Premier League would be a different question, but I think that so far so good for them.
Okay. Well, for me, it was a great game. A lot of waste of chances for Liverpool. 16 shots, only 4 on target. Not good enough in front of goal. Like you said, best defense in the Premier League, only conceding 2 goals, and those 2 goals were defensive errors. Those 2 goals, actually. So, great performance from Liverpool so far this season, and great work by Arne Slot since coming in. All right. Uh, Next match we have Arsenal Southampton. Uh, a great game. Returning players went back, did not get the result they wanted. Aaron Ramsdale went back to the Emirates, not getting the result he wanted against his former team. Saka, great performance, securing an assist for the goal. Martinelli, a brilliant assist too. Yeah. Um, Gavin, what's your take on the match?
I want to say, I was disappointed to be honest. I want Southampton to get the win. Let me show the little banter in there first. But I think that Arsenal, you know, it was a good win for them, in their part because they only can do what you got to do on the pitch. And even though they were down a goal, they still find ways to come back, and that's what build champions. To build champions is for teams, to find win when they're back against the wall, and that's what Arsenal right now have been doing. They're not playing the most prettiest of football that we know they normally play. They finding way to definitely win games so far. Arsenal, as I keep on telling everyone, they were my favorite to win the Premier League this season, and the reason why, is they go so close the last 2 seasons, and I think this season is a time where they're gonna crack the nut. So I think that Man City, probably gonna fall off one way or another because Man City never really, if you study the Premier League, Man City never, ever, ever start this well in the Premier League. So there's one point that Man City gonna fall away. Probably not right now, but I think that there is gonna be a point where they're gonna fall off. And Arsenal, can they capitalize on it, or can Liverpool push them to the edge? We will see. But for me, I know good performance. As I said, Saka, another masterclass performance from him. Very talented player. The sky's the limit for him, in my humble opinion. I think a lot of rival fans underestimate that player a lot, disrespect that player a lot. But we have to remember he's still young because he started out so early, in his career. We all think that he's like a 27, 28-year-old player, but he's still young. He's still got a lot to learn. He's still got a lot to do. But if Arsenal do win the league, I would say it would because of that young man, because he's stepping up, especially this season. Already got 7 assists. So that to show you the performance and the level that he's on right now. A wonderful goal also, with the assists. So therefore, good player and good result for Arsenal.
Yeah, I totally agree because of Saka. Arsenal has been so successful this season. Last season as well. With the help of Odegaard, but Odegaard missing because of his injury. So, yeah, Tyrone, what's your thoughts?
Um, yeah, I like the way that Garvin would have ended his point. You know the fact is, Saka, people are critical about him, and well, I would say some of it is justifiable, but I do think that in terms of this, because he ended up getting two assists. Yeah, as Moss said, he got one for Martinelli's goal, but he also got one for Havertz's goal, which would have been the equalizing goal. So yeah, I mean, statistically, he's been doing quite well. It's a good start to the season for him. And all of that, and just to touch on what Garver would have mentioned about Man City, that in itself is positive for Arsenal, because the fact that they've started off so well, it means then that they're gonna have a falling off period, because City have never really gone through the season, and no team in the Premier League, or the history of the Premier League, for as long as I know of known it, has ever been consistent non-stop, where they've not dropped off, or they drop points at some point. So Arsenal, I obviously share the same sentiment as Garvan. I know I wanted Southampton to get it. So when they took the lead, I was like, okay, good start, Southampton, very good. But 3 minutes later, Havertz, who you know, I don't want to let the Chelsea fan side come out of me, because Havertz, he's constantly trying you know, to rewrite the narrative. But you have to give credit to him. He's had a good start. He scored 7 home goals in a row. So in the seventh game, and he's scoring goals non-stop in home games. So that's a positive. He's doing quite better than what he used to do. Years ago. Usually it would be a case where he starts off the seasons pretty poor, and then in the second half, the second half of the season, that's when he starts to score more goals. But he's actually doing well. He's scored a lot of goals so far in comparison to the prior seasons. But yes, Arsenal, they got the win. It wasn't easy. Southampton looked as if they were going to cause an upset, and there was close opportunities for them to do that as well. As you mentioned, Ken, Ramsdale would have obviously wanted to get a win over Arsenal. He would have conveniently, or and somewhat ironically, fallen um lower on the picking order for them, and he would have been David Raya, who would have been the selected option as their first choice goalkeeper. So that is something, as you mentioned, there's some individuals would have wanted to get the win over Arsenal. I know a lot of neutral fans probably share that same sentiment, but fair enough, Arsenal are showing why they're one of the persons tipped to win the league, because you have to win. And as Garvan mentioned earlier, the win doesn't have to be pretty. Just get the 3 points. You don't have to be scoring three, and your opponent scores zero for you to get the win. So win in any fashion possible, and you push through and you progress to the next match.
Yeah, I totally agree. As you mentioned, Kai Havertz. I remember him just joining Arsenal. Fans were like, he's not good enough, waste of money. But since start coming to the second half of the season, he's been great. This season, scoring a few goals, contributing a lot. Yeah. Next match we have Brentford versus Wolves, and this match is an interesting match because really and truly, I don't know what is going on with Wolves at the moment. Conceding 21 goals in 7 matches, bottom of the table with us 1 point failing to get a win. It's just I don't know what is going through Gary O'Neill's mind at the moment, but they need to pick it up and find back that form to get out of that relegation zone. But a great match, a nice fight by Wolves as well, match 1-1, 2-2 until Brentford began to dominate the rest of the match. Great to see Ethan Pinnock, the Jamaican national, on the score sheet as well. Great performance from him today. Tyrone, what's your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, yeah, as you mentioned, Wolves started the season has really surprised me. I wasn't expecting, as you mentioned, they're on 1 point, same as Southampton. And they're sitting at the bottom of the table in the 20th position. Conceding so many goals, it's crazy. I'm not used to that from Wolves. Wolves have been that team that you'd expect to see them around 9, 8, 7, 6. A couple years ago they were able to get themselves into Europa League. So it's surprising, and especially with the way that they would have performed last season in contrast to this season, it's surprising. But yeah, it's an entertaining match, and it's an 8 goal thriller, and 8 goal thrillers, no matter the type, it's always entertaining. And as you mentioned, Brentford opened the scoring, then Kuna scored for Wolves, and then you had I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name, but scored a penalty 20th minute, and the game was just back and forth until, as you mentioned, you know Brentford took the reins of the match, so they took it and they dominated. Wolves trying to get back a goal, but it was too late. By that time would have been 5-3 still. So it was an entertaining match, definitely for the neutral fans watching, because it shows that football can be entertaining. Usually, the teams that you don't really pay attention to, you have a reason not to. But in these matches, especially to the teams that you don't expect them to get into top four or the top eight, when you see these matches where it's a lot of goals being scored, it's entertaining. And rather than watching the customary big, quote unquote, big teams playing, it and you expect that, oh, they're playing against this team is a guaranteed win for them, or they're definitely going to win this match. It's not as interesting because it's not surprising. When you see teams like a Brentford and Wolves going head to head, and they're scoring so many goals in the match, it's entertaining, and it shows that the Premier League, rather, the Premier League football has competition, even though it's not for top four, but the competition is strong and the competitiveness is there in the teams that you don't expect to see them high up on the table.
Yeah. Um. Gavin, any thoughts on the match?
Sorry, my bad, my bad. For me, it was a big surprise the way Wolves started off this season. Honestly, I expect them to do much better this season because of the way they were playing last season. I said few more addition into that team, will kind of give them a different outlook. But because of their financial, they have to sell a lot of their best players to balance the book. So I think that Wolves is surprising, struggling the way they're struggling, and Bradford, without Ivan Tony, we all saying that they probably won't be scoring so many goals. A lot of people, put them to get relegated, but Boomer, pick up where Ivan Tony left off. This season I've been scoring a lot of important goals for them. So far it seems like they haven't missed Ivan Tony. In To be quite honest, as you said, Pinnock pull off another masterclass in defense, another goal. Um, but I think this game, was a very open game. That's the way Wolves played it this season. Bradford don't really play this way, but I'm surprised that they open up the way they open up and and play. Probably they already realized that they can Wolves there for the taking because everyone have been beating them so far this season. So I probably they just open up and said, let them go for it. But it was a very entertaining game, as you said earlier, and no surprise that the score line was that because of Wolves defensively is really shaky this season so far. So it was a very good, entertaining game. And good to see that the one team can co-op with without their big star That's Bradford without Ivan Tony and Pedro Neto. Wolves seems like they just haven't replaced them.
Yeah, like you said about Ivan Tony, missing a big star like Tony at the moment, you would have thought, oh, no goals and they will get relegated. But as you can see, they're currently holding on, Mbumo currently 6 goals in 7 matches. I I have high expectations of him this season. I don't know about anyone else, but I've been watching him from like the last season. He's been a great player, shining, outstanding. But yeah, I just hope to see more from him. On the top scorers shot cheat, um, giving Haaland a run for his money. Not many people can do that. Uh, let's talk about the Man City and Fulham game. Man City, good win, still unbeaten in the Premier League. Yeah, still unbeaten, but not really a great match. Conceding 2 goals. Uh, Mateo Kovacic with a great performance, 2 goals. You haven't seen really much of him since the Chelsea time. You know, see him too much shining out in the team, being a standout performer. But yeah, he has been good so far. This season he has been coming up. Tyrone, what's your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I like the point that you started it on because that was what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that, and as a Chelsea fan, I'm very much disappointed because I'm saying, where was this Kovacic? He was an underrated player at Chelsea, in my opinion. I mean, the only thing that he was lacking was the goal scoring. I know he's doing it at Man City, so I'm wondering, where was this? We only saw glimpses, but when Kovacic used to score for Chelsea, you know that it would be beautiful because he didn't score often. But no, this season I think he scored around 3, if not more. I'm not really sure, but yeah, he's getting on the score sheet, the score sheet more, and that is very good. But the match wasn't the greatest from a Man City point of view because they were behind. Fulham took the lead. They took in the 26th minute, and they had to rely on Kovacic to get that leveler for them. And that came from a mistake. Fulham failing to clear a corner kick, that would have been in the air, and Kovacic, reacting to it, and then stepping up on that loose ball, that leading to it, getting that equalizer would have helped them. But the match in full was even for for some time. Obviously the Man City would have started off the second half positively because they scored 2 minutes in, but Fulham were still persevering. They were pushing through. City would have had some dominance, but Fulham was obviously still trying to give them a run for their money, and the game was very close for some time until they would have gotten a goal through Doku. So that positive thing, for them is the fact that they still managed to remain undefeated. But it really shows, and as Gervin mentioned before, that eventually they will slip up because there's only so much you can do, and there's so much time that you can take before you start to slip up. Teams have slipped up already. And, even Liverpool, despite the record that they've had so far, they've managed to lose one game. But based on the fact that the margins are so slim, they're able to surpass City because they dropped points before, and they may continue to drop points later on in the season. But it's a good win for them, and the same can be said for what I said for Arsenal. The win doesn't have to be pretty, as long as you get that win, as long as you get the 3 points on your tally, you're good. But Fulham they can hold their heads high despite the fact that they lost because they actually gave Man City a good match. And Fulham have had somewhat of a okay start, considering the fact that a team like Fulham, whenever they get promoted, they're always expected to go right back down, like a yo-yo effect. They come back up, they go back down. That's the expectation that that people would have. So they've had a good start. Obviously, the season is still early, so even the teams in the bottom half could also come back up. Wolves could still come back up, but it's entertaining, and I always love when the underdogs give the favorites a run for the money. And I was hoping that they would be able to get a draw because Fulham were the draw heroes. They were managing to keep themselves, from losing. They had a 2 goal win streak before that, and then had a 2 draw before that. So it's unfortunate for them, but there's positive signs for them. They just need to push through, and considering the fact that they don't have the greatest of players, the squad are having it financially. The fact that they're able to rival a experienced Man City team with around the age of a 27 or so, it's impressive. So they can be proud of themselves despite the fact that they lost.
Uh, yeah, I agree. I agree. Missing some key players, same. De Bruyne, Roger, as you guys know, it's been rough for them, but I think they can hang on. But at some point, like you guys mentioned, they will have to slip up. They will slip up. So, Guy, what's your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in, and being listening to us. Victor's coming over from Chelsea session. I appreciate it. Most in the building. Oh, that's Jordan. Big up Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it, bro. You know, Jordan changed his name, right? So I think that's Jordan. I appreciate it. For everyone that's tuned in. Thank you. For me with the game, I want to say that as Ty was saying earlier, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Take over Ty style was Kovacic. I've been watching that player since he was at Inter Milan. And he's a player that I always want at my club. And finally, he did come to Chelsea. After his stint at Real Madrid. He was a very good player on the ball, like a player that's hard to dispossess, with the ball. So I would say like, goal scoring wasn't his main attribute. That's so for me, to see what he's doing, at this time, it's very, very good for Man City, not for us or for the rest of the league, but for Man City, because with Kovacic scoring goal and Erling Allen, not scoring, that to show you that they're finding ways, how to win game without Erling Allen. Stop Erling Allen, you stop Manchester City. But now it's showing that they're finding different ways and needs, to win games. Because Foden still haven't hit the ground running as yet. A lot of their players, Gundogan come back, haven't lived up to expectation so far, because we all know the Gundogan that leave and go to Barcelona, he come back and seems like he's a pace off it. A lot of people changed their mind when we saw Gundogan come back to Man City, because of we know the Gundogan that left, for Barcelona from Manchester City, and we all see what Gundogan was pulling up some big match performances, late winners, and winning game, single-handedly. So we all thought that Manchester City would be a dominate force. A lot of people changed their mind from Arsenal back to City because of that one signing. But I still think that Man City is one more injury away, from collapsing a little bit. Especially if our likes of Erling Haaland go down, I think that would be detrimental to Man City. But overall, the performance was a very good performance. Fulham, I have to give them credit, because this season, they as usual, Fulham always start off the season with a bang, and soon as they know that they're safe in the league, that's when they fall off. Let us see if they can keep it up this season. But overall, good start for them in the whole entire season. Good start again in the game too against Man City, because they did take the lead. Just unfortunate they couldn't hold it. But I want to say that so far so good. The Premier League is just the best league in the world. That's just it. Any team can beat any team at the moment. It's just unfortunate that Fulham and back where we were talking about Southampton couldn't hold on to the lead.
Yeah, like you mentioned, great points. But the one I'm focusing on is the main about the Gundogan. Uh, since coming back, I haven't really seen much from, he scored a goal, one goal in his return. I haven't seen much from him. I'm thinking if it was the right chance by Man City, or they should have just let him stay, or let him just retire. I'm wondering if it's his right move for them currently. But since the absence of De Bruyne, he has to fill the gap. So yeah. Uh, let's talk about the Manchester United Aston Villa game. City yet to grab a point. City yet to grab a win or perform a big bounce back since their 3-0 defeat to Tottenham. Draw 3-3 in the Europa League with a late Harry Maguire goal, and now failing to win today. What's your guys' thoughts on the match?
Sorry. Which match did you say? I didn't hear. My connection went
The,
out a bit.
the Aston Villa and Manchester United game.
Oh. Okay, right. Well, yeah, the match was. I don't know. From a Man United fan perspective, I'm sure they would say it's lackluster. Aston Villa could have quite easily won the match. Um, but that didn't happen. They got lucky. They managed to not end up losing it. I think Maguire had to come off as well. So I mean, they have injuries to worry about. Ten Hag. I know a lot of people have been looking at Ten Hag and saying that he could quite easily get sacked, and he's one of the favorites to get sacked. Not following up well after drawing with Porto in the Champions, not the Champions League, the Europa League. In the week that has passed. So I guess in a sense, I know a lot of United fans will be very disappointed, very upset because not being able to score a goal, not managing to get the ball to go into the back of the net. It's never good for teams, especially in a situation where they're currently sitting 14th. It's a poor start to the season. But I heard a commentator say that if they had lost this match, it would have been their worst start to the Premier League since the turn of the century. So it's good and bad for them because it doesn't push them up. They needed the 3 points to try to propel themselves higher up on the table. Teams like Fulham, Forest, Brentford, West Ham being ahead of them, it's not impressive. They've not had the greatest of start. They've lost more matches than they've won, and they've dropped more points than they've gained. So it's been a very sloppy start to the season. You know, a lot of people would have probably hoped that Ten Hag in his third season would be able to, get them, to propel them higher, to perform better. It's not as bad for him because he's managed to win 2 trophies with them since he's gotten there, so it's not as bad. But this match, Aston Villa have continued to impress. They're in the top half. They've obviously got themselves to attain, European football, and they're on the same wavelength as Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal. Just being ahead of them by 3 points. Those things are things that they will continue to give them that momentum, that confidence, and that belief. But from a Man United perspective, it's gonna be concerning because this is one of the worst starts that they've had in a long time.
Yes, first I want to big up the new subscriber Roderick welcome to the family. Uh, yeah. Garvin, any thoughts on the
Sorry,
match?
sorry, Ken. Sorry, Ken. I don't mean to cut you, Garvan. But I mean, I think I probably can because you cut me off earlier, so I'm gonna be to you. Well, yes, yes, thank you. I'm gonna say yes. Welcome, Roderick. Yes, it's good. It's good that people, Victor as well, saying that he came here as well. That's good. You know, we're trying to grow as a family and as a community. So it's good when persons from my channel or vice versa from Gorvan's channel can come over and decide to join the family. So it's good. Welcome, Roderick.
Yes, yes, Ty. You know you can cut me off at any time, my brother. It's all love. But for me, we're talking about the Aston Villa Manchester United game. For me, let us talk about Ten Hag first. I think that he's a dead man walking. You ever watch the movie Walking Dead? I think that he's right now in that situation right now. I think he is a dead man walking. I think that the owners, once all the owners show up at the game, it's only two things. It's either they're there to see if they should cut tie or if they should give a chance. And I think for me, Ten Hag is done at Manchester United. Don't be surprised if first thing in the morning you heard that he's got sacked. The only way he wouldn't get sacked at this point in time, unless they can find a replacement, they can find someone that they think can replace them. But I think they already have the replacement. I think that Ruud van Nistelrooy he was a manager in the Dutch league, so he was managing his own team, and also the next assistant guy. So there were both managers, and they did bring both of them in, to help Ten Hag. But Ten Hag stubborn ways, he probably won't not taking instruction from his assistant. So I think he's done at Manchester United. He's not gonna see out the season. That's my opinion on it, my take on it. Um, I think that a lot of these players are not playing for him. I think he lost that dressing room. I think he lost Casemiro for sure, and a lot of the Maguire, a lot of these players are not with him, even though they try to put it out in the media that the players are still behind him and the board are still backing him. I think he's just a dead man walking. But Aston Villa, this is what I expect from Aston Villa, to be quite honest, because of they haven't been in the Champions League for a long time, even though they won the Champions League, I think, twice in their history, but it's just way back in the days or one time. So either they won it twice or once, in their history, but they haven't been this club for a long time where they in the top four and be competing, for the top four, and also in the Champions League. They have a good performance midweek in the Champions League, but I did expect them to kind of not on it today, in my humble opinion, because of a team have to learn how to balance the 2 games a week, which they already have a manager that I know for a fact that can definitely do it, because he's been doing it for Sevilla for many, many years. He's a manager that's been around the block. So I think that they will get to it, the players, but probably not right now. If they make it next season, they start to be a force to recommend with. But for right now, I expect this result. But it was not an entertaining game. It was a very boring game. I don't know what style that Manchester United are playing, to be quite honest. Out of all the teams in the Premier League, I think they're playing the worst out of every team in the league. You know, I don't think they're that good in my honest and humble opinion. I want to say big up Miss. Oh, I forgot I'm not hosting the show. That's you, Ken. We got some more subscribers. Sorry, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to big up Miss Rosie for coming in and letting the people know to like and subscribe. Yeah, guys, road to reaching very far. Just like and subscribe each time you come on. Yeah. Uh, like I heard you mention about the Man United manager Eric Ten Hag. Not doing well so far. 11 games, only 3 wins. Uh, Losing four, drawing four. Not very good for him. Do you think he deserves like what amount of games are do he deserves a period of time? What do you guys think about it? Or should he be sacked?
I'm gonna say after the Chelsea game, you can sack him. That's what I say.
Ty, what's your take?
Yes, I agree with him. Yes, yeah, no, keep Ten Hag until we face them. Yeah, let it be that Chelsea get him started. That would be beautiful as well. But yes, I like what Gervin said about he's like a dead man walking. He kind of when he first joined, I saw him as Baltimore.
Uh yeah. I believe we should be sacked even right now. No longer, no more chances. But I recently heard a bit of a debate of him or Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta coming to Arsenal only winning one trophy, but Eric Ten Hag winning two. What do you guys think?
Someone is asking your questions there, I think. But
Uh I've been hearing rumors of Richard. I've been hearing rumors of him playing for the Reggae Boys. I don't know if it is confirmed as yet or what, but hopes that Macy Greenwood makes it here.
and you were saying about Tenag, right? You were saying about Tenag.
Yeah.
I think
I was saying. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You can reform the question.
Oh, I was asking. I was telling you that persons were comparing him and Mikel Arteta about their success rate so far since in the Premier League. Mikel Arteta only winning one trophy and Eric Ten Hag winning two, but performance wise, Mikel Arteta has been better. But what do you guys think about it?
You want me to go first, I? All right. For me, winning. All right. This is I'm gonna if I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be honest, right? Because a lot of Chelsea fans always said that they need Thomas Tuchel, but for me, if a manager haven't proved that they can go for 38 games in the league, which that's where you should be a dominant force. You don't really get my full respect, and Mikel Arteta still haven't get my respect as yet. Mikel Arteta win the FA Cup against Chelsea when he just come in, but he won it with the Unai Emery squad. And after that season, he get rid of all those players. So it's a mixed feelings between both. Eric Ten Hag haven't been performing well in the Premier League. He make two good runs in two cup in two separate years, which he end up one. One last season. I think that that one should be for more likely for Chelsea, because if we did take those chances against Man City, it wouldn't be Man City in the final. It'll be them against Chelsea in the final. But you can't take nothing away from him because he won two trophies. He got them to show. But that doesn't mean that he's a good manager. The team is still struggling, in the Premier League. They're struggling in the Champions League. You know, they're just been struggling. Mikel Arteta, I haven't crossed the line as yet for me to put him as an elite manager. He still have to cross that line, going close and playing the most fancy football. But at the end of the day, is trophies what matters. And if you can win a league title, that you have to play so many games, 38 games, and fit it in with all the rest of games, that you have to play, that's the big thing for me and the big take. And Mikel Arteta haven't showed that he can have his team to compete on all fours, because they always drop out of the Champions League early. They always drop out of the cups early, but they still haven't won nothing yet. So for me, both are the same thing. I don't think none either is better than any right now until one able to cross the line, and that's winning the Premier League.
Yeah. Uh Mikel Arteta, to me, I'm saying if he doesn't win anything this season, they can probably go ahead and sack him. Battling two Premier League titles where we were about to win, but failing. If he does not win anything, they can just sack him. To be honest, that's my take on it. Uh, Ty, what's your take on the Eric Ten Hag situation?
Yeah, Garvin made a valid point when he mentioned what Mikel Arteta has done, but yeah, that's true. Looking at that squad, and even that season, they still performed horrible. So
I'm
the fact that the fact that they won the FA Cup, that doesn't mean anything. And even Garva didn't mention this, but the way that they won it was even controversial. So even then, the accreditation for that isn't supposed to be there, because it's not a case where they won it by the greatest of margin. It wasn't. It was a case. It was controversial, and all of that. But um, in terms of what Ten Hag has done, you can't write off that he's won trophies. They've gone through what the last time they won a trophy was with Jose. They went through Oli. They had Ralph Ragnick, and nothing happened. So that in itself, he's gonna always be appreciated for that, because it would have been a couple of years since they would have won a trophy, no matter what it was. So that in itself gives him credit. But I don't think that means that he's the greatest of manager. Yes, he was doing wonderful things at Ajax. Yes, but Ajax is a team where they would have been expected to win. It was only Slot that would have caused an upset in the Eredivisie, where he would have you know caused the contention with Ajax. But that in itself doesn't mean anything. And even looking at what Ten Hag has even done at Ajax, when it came on to the European competitions, he struggled. He was inconsistent. Yes, he got Ajax to get to the semi-finals, only for Spurs to defeat them. But even then, the greatest of the greatest, when it really mattered, he wasn't able to deliver. So if it's a case where he's won them trophies, and if he can't push them, it means that he's literally trying to punch above his level. So in a sense, that really shows that if he can't do that, then he's clearly not good enough. And I generally don't think that it's solely the manager. I do believe that there's other factors, because I cannot for the life of me understand why you can be going through so many managers and the same issues are persisting. It's not a case where the problems are different, where the leak in these things. The mistakes are mistakes, to me personally, have always been the same. So I generally think that the manager can be blamed, because at the end of the day, he's the one that selects the players, and he selects the structure that they play in, and the formation that they use. But at the same time, if you're going through so many managers and you cannot get back to the level that you once were, where you had Sir Alex Ferguson being able to do that, then clearly there's something wrong. But if, as you said, Ken, if he doesn't win any trophy, and if he does somehow manage to survive for the remainder of the season, then if he doesn't win anything, then I generally think that he should be sacked. But if it's a case where, as Garvan said, that you have the ownership there, it means that they're looking to see maybe if it's a case where the players are causing an issue, or if it's the manager and how he operates when he's under pressure. So yeah, it's always fascinating. I mean, as a rival fan, to see the other team struggle, but as a neutral fan as well, I have to actually look at it to say that something's not right with United, because United would have been one of the benchmark clubs for years, and not being able to even come close to that for the past 4 years, it's concerning. So I don't know. They'll have to try to find some way, find some solution as to what's going on. But I generally think that Ten Hag, I don't really think he's good enough. The comparison to Arteta is not comparable, because if in any case you'd have to give Ten Hag more credit, because he had to work under circumstances that were different, and as Garvan said, Mikel Arteta um would have inherited a squad, and then after that he realized that it wasn't even his team, because he wiped out or tried to wipe out all of the older or experienced players and went for the younger route.
Uh, I don't know what happened to Ty. Ty is still there.
No, no, I'm still here, but that was the end of my statement.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah. I think what Chelsea manager did when just coming in was something that I think Manu could use. Getting rid of some of the players and getting in different players to help the team. I believe that Manu would would be better off using that way, because like you mentioned, same manager, different managers, same problem. Like, it's not the manager. I don't think it's the managers are the problem. I think the players are the problem. Uh but I want to ask you a question. What do you think about the current performance of Bruno Fernandes?
Wow. Wow. When you ask me about Bruno Fernandes, and the first thing that comes back to my mind is the fact that when he first joined them in January, or I don't know what year it was, but I think it was the same year when with the pandemic and all that. I think it was 2020. I think that's it. I'm not really sure, so don't quote me on that. But I do think that when I think about him, I remember the days when people were comparing him to Lampard and all those legendary midfielders, because he was the saving grace for Man United for so many years. And I think that that's the case now. I think it's a case where when you are you become the face of a club. You're the captain and all of that, and you are the one that they rely on to help them out of the sticky situations. And if you can't do that, then the team's gonna struggle. But I think that in the past 2 games, I think he got a red card in the previous Premier League match. I think that got overturned, and then he picked up a red card against Porto. So I think it's a case where the pressure of having to be the one that delivers for them and all of that is another factor as well. He's completely digressed. He's regressed in performance. He's not the same anymore. His ability has dropped off significantly. I don't know what's going on. It looks like there's something mentally wrong. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I generally think that it's a case where being the one that has to be the saving grace for so long, and the team not able to cope without you being there, that's the biggest issue. So I don't know. It's surprising. I'm not gonna lie. I did respect him when he first joined. He was a creative player that I generally respected. But over time, he has slowly got worse. I don't know if it's because he's getting older, but he's not the same anymore, and there's something really wrong with his performances.
Yeah. When you just being back, I want to ask you, what do you think about the current performance of Bruno Fernandes?
Um, I'm probably not gonna be, what you wanted. I'll probably be a little bit harsh because I'm not a fan, and I wasn't a fan from day one because of the way we normally, the drama that he brings on the pitch. the rolling, and even if the players doesn't touch him, trying to get the players get a card or try to get, some penalties or free kick. I wasn't a fan of him from day one. When he just come in the league, I thought that he was a controversial player. To be quite honest, I never think that he's a leader. In my humble opinion, I think that Manchester United make a big decision when they gave him that captain armband. I don't think he deserved it because he's not a leader, a type of leader. I think Manchester United is missing real leaders in their team. That's why I think they're struggling. Imagine you got a Bruno Fernandez, leading that dressing room. And I want to even go further in with Manchester United. I think Manchester United for the last 12 to 15 years, since Alex Ferguson left, I think it's a graveyard. And the reason why I said it's a graveyard is no disrespect to Manchester United fans. I think that every players that rise up, in that institution, always go dead. Like poor Kobe Manu, you know Kobe Manu right now. It's a young player that start off really well, and if you be honest, look at his performance for the last couple of games. He's off it. He's not the players that with the energy and the desire that he start off with. Earlier when he just started out last season. You can see that he's regressing. He's not progressing. And Rashford, he was the next best thing since sliced bread. Have a few hits in here, season here and there. He's going to the wayside again. Sancho. So we can go on, with all these players that was at Manchester United. Not showing any shades on the club, but the stadium been leaking. So Manchester United is a dead institution right now, and it's just the truth. They're in the graveyards. You have to keep a funeral service for them. That's where they are right now. Let their rest in peace, in my humble opinion. But Bruno Fernandez, it's it's a disgrace to Manchester United, fans and fans that I mean supporters. Because honestly, I do love the supporters, because every football fan, I have to adore them and I will support them because of the game that we love, the beautiful game. And that's what I see with Manchester United fans. They were saying that Chelsea got a civil war over there, but right now the civil war is right at their doorstep. But Bruno Fernandez is one of the big take on it. He's one of them gonna take the blame for everything that happened in Manchester United. Is his fault? No. Ten Hag is the one that gave him the captain armband. But I think that it's time for him to go. He done some wonderful things for you guys when he just come in, but after that he fall to the wayside just like the rest. Look, Martial was one of the best young talent, in the world, and he went to Manchester United and he just fall to the wayside. So I'm just gonna say it's not the players, it's just the institution, and the institution is Manchester United right now is keeping a graveyard service over there, at Old Trafford. The name is correct, Old Trafford. So if you notice, no disrespect, but Old Trafford is more likely a whole graveyard. It's not the theater of dreams
Oh,
anymore. It's a theater of nightmares.
oh gosh. No, that's what I said. You're not mincing your word. Like, no, you just great. Well, you gave the disclaimer though. You said it's gonna be harsh, but that's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Uh, but I have to agree. You've seen it, Manchester United last two captains. Harry Maguire after one bad season, not one, but after playing bad, they took it from him, gave it to Bruno. Bruno now playing bad. I believe it's like a curse with the Manchester United badge. Because The last two have proven it. But yeah, if I believe Ten Hag should be sacked even tomorrow or when the stream ends anytime. Even right now he should be sacked. But yeah, that's all I have to say about them. Uh Next up, the Tottenham versus Brighton match. Uh Tottenham, great performance most of all by Brighton. Tottenham leading 2-0. Them coming back from behind to win 3-2. Danny Welbeck sealing it. Uh, what's your guys' take on the match?
You want to go ahead, Ty?
Yeah, sure. That's been the pattern. So I'll go. Um, yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. As you mentioned, Ken, it's a great performance from Brighton, having to come from behind 2 goals down in the first half. Brennan Johnson and James Madison. I'm sure Spurs fans would think that, oh, it would have been a wonderful match for them. But boom, second half, different. A tale of it's. This match was a tale of two halves. One half Spurs were doing well and all of that, and Brighton, they came. Oh, I don't know what the manager said to them in the dressing room, but they came back out and they hit. They got that first goal, got the equalizer 10 minutes later, and then Welbeck ended up getting that third goal for them. It was just a case of protecting that lead, and they did well. They managed to keep Spurs at bay. Obviously Spurs would have obviously pushed through and trying to get that goal to even manage to get a point. But Brighton have been on one of those teams that they've had a brighter start. Haha, that's kind of funny. But yeah, they've had a bright start. They're parallel in terms of uh their start. They've managed to win three, and it was only Chelsea that would have taken away their perfect start. They had 3 wins and 3 draws, and then they faced off against Chelsea and they suffered that loss. But that is the thing that you have to think about. Even Ange Postecoglou, he was one of the most hyped appointments that I saw last year, and he's not lived up to that expectation that a lot of people had. They were saying, "Oh, Spurs are going to be doing so well." I remember when Spurs were celebrating being top of the table very early. They were marching around the field like they just won the league. So those memorable things of last season is there. But Spurs themselves, they've had a very shaky start as well. Yes, they've managed three wins, and they've drawn, but they've lost more than they've gained points. So that is a negative. That's always a negative for them. But fair play to Brighton. They delivered. They let their heads drop after the being 2 goals down, and they responded well in the second half, and they got that win, and it was well deserved because they fought for it.
Yeah, before you go, I want to big up Miss Melina for joining the stream. Welcome, welcome. Big up to you as well. You can go ahead.
Okay, and let's look out for this one too. I'm gonna have to rant on this fraud club that's saying they're the biggest rival in London. I don't think Tottenham Hotspur is no rival to Chelsea or Arsenal. To be quite honest, they spur up everything that they come up against. They never compete for nothing. You know, that's they're one of the biggest fraud club in England. To be quite honest, they they huff and they puff, but they never blow nothing down or nothing away. So for me, Tottenham is always going to be Tottenham. It's just the Tottenham. As some of the great and even John Terry say, to Madison when he was bragging when he went to Tottenham, and John Terry have to say, remember where you are. You know, you're at Tottenham, and Poch, Big Ange. No, we call him Big Ange because Big Ange come in the league and they always was gassing him up, say he's the next Alex Ferguson, just in 10 games, as Tostar was saying. They were running around whole entire England and across the world, wherever the Spurs fans are. Like they're the best thing in the world, and just to see they fall away. So for me, team gonna learn to play against Spurs with that eye line. They can't try it against every and any team. To be quite honest, Brighton tried it against Chelsea. You see what they do. Chelsea hit them for six. You know, but whenever we could have scored more because we hit them for six because it was Cole Palmer, four and Sanchez two. So they didn't score any goals in my own humble opinion. It was Cole Palmer two, Sanchez two. So I'm just gonna say Spurs is one of the biggest disappointing team in London. Always want to push their chest up. But they need to go learn to win something. First and foremost. I'm just gonna be ranting on the teams today. That I expect better from, because Tottenham Hotspur they spend like the second ice or the first ice in transfer. For the last 10 years, I think they outspends a lot of teams, in the Premier League. I think they're in the top two or three highest spender. If it wasn't for Chelsea, I think they would have still be up there on top. But what did they do with all of those money? Arsenal is the same thing too, so they're no different. But the difference with Arsenal right now, they hope they're challenging. You can see that Arsenal is building something, but Spurs is just instead of they build something, they're regressing. So for me, it's just a fraud of a club right now. You know, I'm gonna look at the result and say, well done to Brighton. They honestly they step up. They come from behind and they do come away with the victory. So what else can we say? It was a well fought victory for them. They prove why they're better than Spurs.
Yeah, like you said, uh, Tottenham haven't won a trophy in what 21 years. 21?
It's
No,
less
not
than that.
21.
It's less than that.
Since
It's less
no,
than
yeah,
that.
less than that. They haven't won a trophy from 2008. I think it was the Carabao Cup, as it was
Against
called back
Chelsea.
then,
Yeah,
Carling
against
Cup
Chelsea.
against Chelsea 2-1. But yeah, uh, I was expect even when they went to the Champions League finals, I was hoping for them, even though I was hoping for them to win the Champions League or something, but failed. Yeah. Like you said, like you mentioned, Garvan, they haven't been a team to say that they're a rival to any team. I think when they talk about rivals, they are mentioning it of the location, but if you mention it of the period of the seasons that you can say Arsenal's rival are not Tottenham. I would like to say it's Man City and not Tottenham. So yeah. Next match I want to ask you guys about. I know this match is probably the best one for you too. Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest. Garvan, would you like to go first?
Yeah, no problem, bro. No problem. I want to say with this game, it was two different half of game. You know, I see a lot in this game. I have to say congratulations to Nottingham Forest. They did turn up today with a game plan. They stick to their game plan. Even though when we were out position them in the middle of the pitch, they stuck to it. They fight through it. They create some chance for themselves where they could have won the game. The game could have swing in both ways. It could have swing. It was a very entertaining game, especially the second half. Very as a new if you were a neutral, it would a game that you would have really sit and enjoy the last minute of it because it was almost an end-to-end action. You take one chance, I take one chance. So it was something in that regard. But for me, disappointed because the 3 points would have feel a little bit more, more generous for me, to be quite honest. If we did get the full 3 points, it would be something that I would have really loved. I would have been celebrating to know we're going to international break with a 3 points of victory. Sitting right there close to Liverpool, who's the next opponent for Chelsea. But I want to say, man, my hats off to Nottingham Forest because they didn't make it easy. And so far in the league, they haven't made it easy for no one because we're gonna play Liverpool, and they're the only team that beat Liverpool so far in the season. So definitely, is a positive that we didn't lose. We come away with our points. Disappointed, yes, but we just have to shake it off and move on and get prepared for the next game.
Uh, yeah. Ty.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to be a broken record, so I'm not going to repeat what Garvan just said. But yes, Nuno has done well. I've always believed that it's never best to judge a manager that comes into a club mid-season, and that would have been the story that would have been there. But yes, they've had a good start in terms of the fact that they were able to defeat Liverpool. The only defeat that Liverpool have managed so far, to really prevent them from having a bright start, is that they lost to Nottingham Forest. And not, and as Garvan would have mentioned, the game could have gone anyway. It could have gone in Chelsea's favour, especially the fact that they went down to 10 men for about 20 minutes or probably more than that. Yeah, over 20 plus minutes, considering the fact that the stoppage time was 30 minutes. So in that sense, it was a match that obviously from a Chelsea fan perspective is disappointing because it would have been a good way to go into the international break, being having to face off against Liverpool. It would have been a good way, to go into that match, because if you're able to get the W and get the 3 points, it means that you would most likely be ahead of Liverpool. So that in itself would have been a positive, but at the end of the day, we can see that the match was entertaining. It did come with its disappointments because it really showed the lack of you know defensive work that Chelsea you know have to work on. Nottingham Forest is a team that has been known for being a low block team, and that would have shown in this match. Nuno was a manager at Wolves that really, his philosophy would have been that be a good counter attacking team and trying to get teams on a counter attack, and being a good team early. That would have been another thing that Chelsea should have been prepared for, because the goal that they scored came from a set piece scenario or from a cross. So that is something that they needed to have worked on, and try to be attentive. But the game was lucky for Chelsea because Sanchez um Garvan mentioned about the whole situation with the Brighton game, where it was a case where Sanchez made mistakes. But the tale for Sanchez is the fact that he was one of the reasons why the match did not end as a defeat for Chelsea, because he was called into action. Um, the same is for the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, who did excellent. He denied Chelsea so many times. He pulled off some top notch saves. He reminded me of Buffon. The way that he was stopping the shots and everything, it was impressive. You know, Being so attentive is very important. So it was a game for the goalkeepers to really show that this is the reason why they are at the club, and this is why they're the starting goalkeeper. But the match is disappointing for Chelsea fans. I know Nottingham Forest fans will be somewhat disappointed because they could have got a W, because they created so many opportunities. They had more shots on target than Chelsea, and they were the underdogs. And as the underdogs, the pressure wasn't there for them, so they were able to pose on that. But Chelsea threw Noni Madueke, who you know I'm trying not to get into that because I would probably be continue talking for the next 20 minutes. But there's things in the Chelsea team that needs work. Um, Madueke, for example, not making the best decisions in terms of what to do, making passes rather than taking shots or vice versa. Those are the things that need work. And Maresca has done excellent so far in terms of his start. He's managed only one defeat as well, so it's parallel to Villa, among other teams. So Maresca can be blamed somewhat by some fans because he should have made a decision to not start, for example, Jackson, who this match was definitely for. It wasn't for him. I've always said that he's a player that loves to run for beyond players. So like a team like Spurs, where he would have gotten a hat trick last season because of the high line, that is where you play him. And then Kunku, who's known for being able to break down a low block, that is where you should have started him. So that is another issue that perhaps could have been avoided because Jackson was isolated. He didn't really do much in this match, and that's understandable because this wasn't really his type of game. So, there's things that Chelsea need to work on, being able to break down low blocks that are going to be sitting deep and they don't need to be coming at you continuously. But Chelsea did create opportunities and they could have won the match as well. So it's not negative, but I'm sure for a lot of fans it feels like a defeat because we could have gotten 3 points and get closer in margins to a Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool. So going to it, it would have been the best way to go into the international break as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I expected Chelsea to come out with the win in that match. I don't know why, but yeah, since their recent performance, I've been getting a little ratings for them team, So yeah. Next match I wanna talk about is West Ham versus Ipswich Town. Uh Ipswich still without a win since coming to the Premier League. Not in the relegation zone, surprising, but without a win. Liam Dillap getting on the score sheet. Goalkeeper Mork, 8 saves in 13 shots, conceding 4. But great performance from West Ham. Good win going to the international break as when coming back, they're going to play Tottenham at Spurs. Kai, do you have anything to say about the match?
Yeah, well, even though I'm not really a fan of West Ham, I'm happy for them. The fact that they were able to, to get this win because they've had a very rocky start. They sit 12 right now. They've lost more matches than they've won. So that really shows the issues. It's not been the best start to life for Julian as well, who took over as manager. So it is a good win for them. As you mentioned, Ipswich are still yet to get a win, and as you mentioned, it is surprising that they're not in um the relegation zone. They're just by 1 point out of it. So that is not really comfort for them. But yeah, it's been a very rocky start for them. But they have been also a team that were the kings of draws. They continuously got draws after draws because the 4 previous matches before that they managed to get 4 draws and getting a point. So that's one of the reasons why. That's the thing that separates them from the relegation zone because they were able to get points, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, and that's it. But West Ham, seeing as how they had a rocky start to the season, conceding 11 goals and all of that doesn't look good. But it's not the worst. A lot of teams have conceded more, so I guess they'll be satisfied with the fact that they haven't conceded as much as other teams. But it's a good win for them. Obviously scoring 4 goals and to 1 goal is always comfortable. I know it was a case where Mikel Antonio, Jamaican international, it's always good to see players like that score goals. And Antonio has been a player for them for years who, injuries kept him out a few times, but he's been a player that if he's flying, the team will do well as well. And Kudus and Bowen pockets are getting the score sheet would also be a positive for the fans as well, because in previous games they weren't able to depend on those players. Kudus is a quality player. I know a lot of teams wanted him. I know Chelsea wanted him. City were linked with him a couple times as well. So he's a good player. He's impressed since he's joined West Ham. Could be better, but there's a bright player in him. He's done quite well for them, and he's a key player for West Ham as well.
Yeah. Gavin, any thoughts on much?
Yeah, I want to say West Ham being very surprising this season of the way they're losing games, and Ipswich Town haven't been in the Premier League for almost 20 something years, and a lot of people have them high up the table. Like they will be probably one that will be surviving, of all the three teams that get promoted. But well played by West Ham. It's the best game I saw them play all season, to be quite honest. Ipswich Town still playing like they're in the championship, and the same thing with Southampton. Like when you get promoted, you have to find ways how to stay in the Premier League. And unfortunately that they haven't so far, but it was a well taken 3 points for West Ham United. Mikel Antonio started off real well. Those are the games that Mikel Antonio like. He liked the physical, when players start to rough him up. He likes stuff like those, that's get the best out of him. And I think that let us see what happened with Ipswich Town, because they're the one that is kind of, you have a little hope that they will be able, to string something together. But for me, West Ham United, well deserved 3 points.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good in for West Ham. Like you mentioned, Mikel Antonio on the score sheet, something you love to see. Yeah. Next match, Leicester versus Bournemouth. I want to hear from you guys first, though. Garvan, what do you have to say?
Honestly, I didn't get to watch this game. Even the highlights I didn't see the even not even the highlights on this one. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you
Ty,
about this game.
did you see the game or highlights or anything?
What I do know is that it was a one goal decided game. Leicester City had a good. They performed better in terms of getting a win, because they gave Arsenal a run for their money last week. So that is a positive for them. They've had a very poor start as well, but I guess for some individuals, they would really be surprised, because they say that this is a team that got relegated, and there's a reason why they got relegated, because the quality has dropped off. They're not the same team that was contending and was competing in Europe. They're a team that have regressed. They've lost quality players. Madison losing him last season, and they haven't really strengthen the team in the ways that they need to. But it's positive for them in the fact that they finally got themselves a win. They were winless for the past 6 games prior, so it's good for them. But their start hasn't really been surprising for lots of people, because they haven't really strengthened in the areas that they need to. So taking that into consideration, is expected. Bournemouth are a team that, it depends on how you look at it, because Bournemouth is a team that people don't really fancy to really be up there, being in the top half. So the fact that they're even able to be above the relegation zone with a comfortable margin, it's good for them. They haven't had an excellent start, because they've lost 3 matches, but it's a case of them impressing still and finding ways to just scrape through and get a couple wins here, get draws prior to that. but yeah, the game wasn't really impressive in terms of the scoreline, but in terms of the teams fighting hard and Leicester City having to try to protect their lead that they would have got in the first half, it really shows that both teams were just it was a case of mediocre facing off against mediocre. I would say.
Yeah. My take on the match. I'm a bit surprised that Leicester came out with the win. It's a bit surprising. Leicester only taking what 6 shots, two on target. One of them ended in the back of the net. But on the other hand, Bournemouth 19 shots, 13 more shots than Leicester, but only two on target. I think the reason they lost was the quality in attack. The finishing was not very well, you know, and that if the strikers, the midfielders are not finishing, you can't win a game. Getting that much chances, you should at least be like 3 goals, 2 goals or so. You should have secured the win. But yeah, well done by Leicester City. Yeah. The next match, Newcastle Everton. I did not get to watch the match or see the highlights. Did any of you?
It was a very boring game, to be quite honest. It was a game that a really Sean Dice type of game. Nothing fantastic was in it. You know, Everton defended solid as usual. Try to hit on the counter. They hit on the counter a few times, but couldn't make much of the opportunities that they really got. The outstanding player was that little number 10 for Everton. I don't remember his name, but I think he's a new signing. He looked like there's some promise in there, but overall, without Isak, Newcastle is just being Newcastle.
Yeah. I think that's it for the Premier League top eight. But I want to ask you guys a question. In the Premier League, what player with the international uh break now, what players do you think deserve the call up but did not receive one in the Premier League at the moment? Anyone can answer.
Um, you're talking about for England or any other national team?
Any international team.
Um, I, I who didn't get called up? Uh, this is a tough one because I heard a lot, mostly all the international squad that because majority of the squad I think I would say Malo Gusto because I don't think he's in the French senior team as yet. So I would say Malo Gusto is one that definitely need to start to get called up for the French national team.
Yeah. Well, as you speak on the topic of French national team, I saw that Mbappe wasn't called up. That's one thing I would have noticed. So that's one thing. I wouldn't well, I haven't been watching Real Madrid like that to say that okay, I don't know how they've been performing or how he has
He's
been
injured.
performing particularly. Well, he's injured. That's why he wasn't called up.
But
Okay, well,
I think
that's
he
one thing that
returned
I
though.
would
I
have
think he
seen him.
returned. Yeah, he returned.
Yeah, but they said they're not gonna
Well,
risk him.
yeah. Okay, so in
Yeah.
that case, then it's understandable. Yeah, but I don't know. Can left the difficult question for last because I generally don't know because I'm saying who has who has who has performed so well haven't and hasn't been called up. I would have to look at the squads of the different countries to see that, okay, maybe these players based on what they've been doing. But I don't know, I'm actually dumbstruck.
Uh yeah. with the Premier League top 8 finish, I just want to look at two Champions League games. Two of them that were really key. No, three that were really key to my eye. A bit of three surprising games. First up, the Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich. Did any of you watch that game?
Oh,
Or some
I heard
highlights?
about it. I heard about it. I saw who scored. And from a from a Chelsea fan perspective, taking consideration the the player that would have ended up, just edging it. This match is actually interesting, because Bayern Munich, they're a team that you'd have expected to win, because looking at the stats alone, the fact that they dominated possession, the passing, the accuracy, the shots, because they had three times more, just a little bit over three times more. I know Aston Villa, having two shots to their seven. It's surprising. I guess some people would say, oh, then again they have a manager who, isn't the greatest. He's still in his early stages of being a manager. So probably that is understandable. But Villa have actually been doing well in Europe so far. I mean, John Duran has been very clinical for Villa. He's not a head-on starter for them. He's had to rival Ollie Watkins for that first choice spot. But when he has come on most of the time, he has scored goals. So he's that impact sub. He's the definition of an impact sub right now. So that game was actually surprising when I saw the results and looked at the stats and looked at the highlights. I'm saying, wow, that's surprising, because Bayern Munich should have been able to win the match, considering the fact that they had shots that were on target. But you know, I've always loved to see underdogs win, and Aston Villa were definitely underdogs in this match.
Yeah, a bit surprising for the Villa to win. Garvan, anything to say?
Yeah, that was a good performance from Villa. As I said, like Nuna Emery is a cup coach. He know how to get the result in one-on-one games. For the long period of the season, that's where Eve kind of failed. But in like these competition, because if you notice, he won the most UEFA Cup. He did it multiple time, back to back with Sevilla. I think probably 3 or 4 in a row. So he is a manager that know how to go about in the cup competition. It's just the long period of the Premier League. That's where you have to worry about him. But definitely, it was a very entertaining, game, because Bayern Munich was pushing, and Villa will just sit there and wait for their opportunity, and wait for it. Then that's what they did. As Ty was saying earlier, unfortunate that Chelsea scout this striker all summer long and just did not, almost for a year and a half, and just did not pull it off. But as again, I'm saying, like, that's just football. But overall, it was a good performance from both teams.
Yeah, and to say with Bayern winning their first Champions League match 9-2, it was a bit surprising to see them lose 1-0 to Villa. We know that Villa is a good team, but to Bayern it was just uh different. Uh Big up rich money makers. Sorry to hear that. Good that you're recovering from your sickness, but it's great to have you. Uh, yeah. The next match is a bit surprising. Arsenal PSG. How far do you guys see Arsenal going in Champions League?
It's quick for me. Not far, to be honest. I don't think they're gonna win it. They probably make the quarter or so forth, but Mikel Arteta still haven't know how to win in those one-on-one competition yet.
Ty.
I don't see them going far either. Maybe that's the Chelsea fan in me talking, but I don't because I mean, looking at that PSG team, for example, it doesn't look when you look at that team, you don't really fear it. In all honesty, they have a couple good players. Fear that's fair. They have a young players that look quality, but the team has regressed. They don't look as impressive as the ones did. That obviously they had quality players in the past, and even right now they're losing. So I don't know. PSG are not in the greatest of places right now. So I don't think based on this match alone, and probably that's not what you meant with your question, but I don't see Arsenal going far in the Champions League. If they do, I'll be surprised, but I don't think so. They're gonna face off against some quality teams, but I don't think they have the quality to really contend and get far in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I I see them going far. I don't know if because I'm an Arsenal fan, I want to believe in that, but yeah, I see them going far. Hopes to be in a final, but yeah. Yeah. So that's about it for today. You guys have anything to say? You're muted. Still not hearing you. No.
Oh no, we're still
No.
not hearing you. I can I've been learning to read lips, and I'm trying to read. I think I know what you're saying. I think you're saying it was a brilliant show. I think that's what. I don't know what's going on.
Wait. No, we're still not here. I forgot one thing that just clicked my mind. It was something that happened, I think, yesterday. Paul Pogba returning back to football.
Oh yes, 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 yes. There's a lot of things surrounding that as well. Juventus reportedly wanting to terminate his contract as well, and they want to sever ties. But yeah, the fact that he would have been able to get his suspension from football down from 4 years to 18 months. I mean that's good for him. His story in recent time has been very unfortunate in terms of if you believe some of the things that have been said about with his family and all of that. So that's but yeah, that's good for him. I know lots of people are happy because he's a player that a lot of people classify as excellent, and he's won a lot of things in his career that he has had a good career winning the World Cup and being a great midfielder for Man United for during his time there. So yeah, it's good for him. I'm sure lots of people thought that probably his career would be over, but if Juventus want to sever ties, where does that leave him? That's the next thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big problem. But I think they should give him the chance. I think this is like revolving around like the Mason Greenwood Manchester United thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward for his return. Uh, Garvan,
Right,
Mike is still down.
right. So in that case, I mean, if you do have anything else to discuss, I guess we can probably um digress and probably call it a day. If that's it, you're the host. Don't let me take over your responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. To everyone on here, I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for liking, the new subscriber for subscribing. Guys, just keep coming out, share the link, share the live when we get on, and enjoy. Yeah.
From my bad place, oh yeah. Tryna be a better me just for you. But it ain't easy, it's hard to get used to. Minding my own business, I'm not worried about what he do. Cause nowadays all it is to be seafood. I always said this is that I'm staying around people. Finding my own path like I'm writing my own sequel. Two-faced people all around, they be equal. 2021, you can never trust nobody. Good and bad thoughts on my mind, they be crowded. Pushing to get past his limits, then he see he bought it. Family work hard, but I never guess I'm found it. Came a long way in my dream, now I be drawn it. They dying, I got some hearts pounded. Multi-talented, my passion, I haven't found it. Yeah, in my home, I was never ever doubted. I'm here from my bad place, oh yeah. Tryna be a better me just for you. But it ain't easy, it's hard to get used to. Minding my own business, I'm not worried about what he do. Cause nowadays all in